I was going to the hospital. I was going to be monitored. I was going to be induced. So like everything was like not what I thought was going to happen. Welcome back, everyone. I want to share with you the story of how I got into hypnosis, what drew me towards hypnotherapy, and why I find it so important to offer it to my clients now, and why actually I include it also in my self-love slowdown course. So I have been a therapist for several years before I came across hypnotherapy. I'd always kind of heard about it, like I knew hypnosis was a thing. You know, I don't live under a rock, but I just didn't know its applications. I thought it was something that happened on stage or that people did to maybe like overcome smoking or something. I just didn't really understand a lot about it. But then when I was pregnant with my first son, we went through a natural birthing center, and I did that because I really wanted to stay out of the hospital. Especially as a Black woman, the rates of complications just throughout the process of being pregnant and giving birth and soon after birth is so much higher. And I had a lot of concerns and fears about having some of those negative outcomes in my birthing journey. And I had both my sons in my 30s as well. So it wasn't like I was super young. I wasn't sure if that would contribute to anything, but I just wanted to be in a situation that would be the most safe and that would feel the most safe, like would feel emotionally safe for me. And so I went through a birthing center. And my main courses, they had so many classes that you had to take. You had to get a degree in birth. It's kind of funny, but it was actually really helpful. But the main class that I took was a birthing class that focused on hypnobirthing. So I was like, well, okay, cool. Let's see what this is about, right? It was my first experience with hypnosis. I still felt kind of confused about how it worked and if it would work, right? Because I was like, I don't want to be in the middle of giving birth and then suddenly this thing that's supposed to be working doesn't work anymore. I was terrified of birth, by the way. I don't know if you could tell from everything I've already said. So I took the birthing class and learning how to do self-hypnosis. And they have you do it with the support of your partner. So, my husband was there with me. But for the most part, it really was me just learning how to enter into that hypnosis state on my own with lots of practice. And it was really remarkable. As someone, I was, already a therapist for several years. I was already teaching yoga. I was really familiar with, what it felt like when my parasympathetic nervous system, my rest and digest nervous system was in control as opposed to my adrenaline and my cortisol, running the show. So I was pretty aware of what that felt like already to be in a state of rest. And when I would practice these hypnosis recordings for preparing for birth, thinking about the birthing process, thinking about all the things that could potentially go wrong in a sense that I didn't want to have happen and that I was really fearful of, it was remarkable just how soothing, how relaxing the hypnosis process was, even in preparing and thinking about how to calm my mind, calm my expectations, and address my fears as I prepared for giving birth to my son. Of course, as luck would have it, right around 36 and a half weeks, I go in to see my midwives, and suddenly, there was another midwife coming over and another one, and they're taking my blood pressure multiple times. And as it turned out, and I had to come in several more times that week, my blood pressure was rising. And so there was a risk of preeclampsia, one of the things that I was really hoping wouldn't happen. All the way through my journey of being pregnant, there were lots of things that I was like, oh boy, I was afraid this was going to happen or that was going to happen. Those things didn't occur. But at 36 and a half weeks, suddenly I have high blood pressure, and I'm not a high blood pressure person. So this meant that my plans were changing, and they were changing rapidly. Within a day or two, it was confirmed that I would have to give birth that weekend, which as someone who was already terrified of birth, this was, not what I expected. I thought, most women are ready to give birth at 40 weeks and they're like, get this baby out of me, blah, blah. And sometimes it goes to 41 weeks or maybe almost 42. I'm thinking I might have 3 to 5 more weeks of being pregnant and getting ready for this baby and that process. And suddenly it was like, you're going to be giving birth in a couple of days. Okay. That's not what I wanted. So that huge change in birth plans certainly meant that I was going back to those hypnobirthing recordings, you better believe. It also meant that I was not going to be in the little cozy midwife, basically bedroom situation with the tub nearby and the ropes that you could kind of hold on to as you're birthing your child out, pushing them out naturally, with the field just outside. None of that was happening. I was going to the hospital. I was going to be monitored. I was going to be induced. So everything was not what I thought was going to happen. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to birth plans changing. And then even after that process started, my doctor, the doctor that I had been in touch with and who I found to be very reassuring, very calming, and I thought, okay, well, if he's there, that will help. It'll help with the process because his energy was just something very unique. He's a very unique person. Actually, he was a doctor who's married to a midwife, so it was very interesting. But I thought, well, at least if he's there, I'll feel okay. And then, they thought he would be because they thought it was going to take me much longer to have my son. And in fact, he came way more quickly than they would have expected. So he wasn't there when I gave birth to him. And the doctors who were there, I really just didn't have that rapport with. I didn't feel like they really were really listening to me quite as much, believing me. It was really challenging. Thankfully, I had my husband there. I also had my doula, who was amazing. Get you a doula if you're pregnant. But just that loss of control, being in the hospital setting, which already really freaked me out, just all the medical equipment around, all these things can be reassuring for some people. It was not reassuring for me. And so being able to have my hypnosis practice, I just stayed in that state the whole time. When I say the whole time, I mean the whole time. It just went in. Once the labor, the contractions started picking up to where I could actually feel them and they were getting really strong, I just went into that state. I had my Spotify, I would say playlist, but it wasn't even it wasn't a playlist because I never had prepared one. I was supposed to do that. I thought I had time. I thought I had 3 to 5 more weeks. I just ended up playing one artist the whole time because I just couldn't be bothered to think about it. And thankfully, that artist's voice was super soothing. So I just listened to that, did my hypnosis in my mind, and I ended up being able to birth in the hospital still without any kind of pain medication or other interventions needed. And he was birthed naturally, vaginally, which is what I was really hoping for. And this is not to say that's superior to some other way of birthing. That's what I wanted, right? Some people are like, give me the epidural, I already know I'm going to get it, right? Or some people schedule their C-section. That's fantastic. That's just not what I felt that I wanted. And actually, those things felt scarier for me. So for some, that feels good. For me, that felt scary. So I was like, I just want them to come out, just come out the way. I don't know. That babies have generally been coming out for ages. I didn't want any other interventions is what it came down to. And so I really credit that experience, even though it was everything changed so much. And I was under a lot more stress because of my environment than I thought I was going to be. I thought I was going to be in a much more calming, sort of safe space for me. And that wasn't the case. And with hypnosis, I still got through that experience that I had been so terrified of. It was incredible. So that was my first introduction to hypnosis and just how powerful hypnosis can be, even for something that literally I've been terrified of my entire life. Since I got my period as a child, I was terrified of childbirth. So that was a big deal for me. And then my second interaction with hypnosis actually came when I was working with a coach with doing some work around my business and my private practice. And I realized that I had a lot of fears about being successful And that might sound confusing, but yeah, I had fears about being successful. And so I was working with her, and I had this one in-depth hypnosis session. It's actually like a regression hypnosis session. You can look that up if you're interested, but it was so powerful, guys. Like, yeah, it completely changed a very firm belief that I just had in my head for some reason. I mean, there was a reason, but it wasn't real. And I realized that more now on the other side of going through that process with her. Like, wow, that wasn't even real, but it felt real. It felt like a fact. And so after engaging in that hypnosis process with her, and this was one session, mind you, it just completely rewired my brain around this issue and really lifted up this huge burden, this huge block I had had, that was creating a lot of fear of like actually doing well. Okay. So I just wanted to share that as different examples of what I've experienced personally from the power of hypnosis. And those are just the kind of the biggest, sort of like most like, whoa, profound examples. There's lots of even sort of smaller, more micro examples because I still continue to use hypnosis and find it to be of great benefit. And I do it in my private practice as well. It's just remarkable because it puts you in the driver's seat and helps you to overcome long-held fears, deep-seated negative beliefs about yourself or about the world around you. And it allows you to actually move beyond those things. And it just opens up that space so that you can receive something different and enter into a different experience. I love that. I love when there are techniques that just work that powerfully. And that's a huge reason why it's part of my course, because I know that I can teach a lot of things and I can go through sort of experiential processes with my clients. Being able to combine all of that, all the knowledge and the understanding, that intellectual understanding, along with that subconscious work through the hypnotherapy, has been a huge game changer for folks that I've worked with one-on-one. And so I wanted to make it more accessible for folks that can't work with me, and to give you back that power to create your own experience and to get a handle on your own fears and to have completely different experiences that you wouldn't otherwise be able to have. So it's my little sort of magic wand in the work of just improving your sense of self-love and overcoming a lot of those barriers to success or connection or the lifestyle that you desire. It's my magic wand for bringing all the pieces together so that you can experience more of those outcomes that you're wanting, more of those results that you're wanting. So if you have any other questions about hypnosis or want me to talk about anything else related to that, or how it relates to self-love, feel free to put your comments in the comment section below. And if you're interested in checking out the course and seeing what it is I'm talking about, be sure to go to the link in the description box for the Self-Love Slowdown. It's been a pleasure seeing you guys today, and I will see you in the next video.